Peru is considered one of the countries most vulnerable to climate change in the world. Not only is this reflected in the disappearance of almost 25% of the Peruvian glaciers, but most Peruvians living in the countryside already have to adapt to the drastic changes in the climate. Climatic variability is characteristic of the Andean mountain range, but the current process of climate change is accentuating the climatic extremes. The Peruvian farmer communities have to cope with it on a daily basis. More heavy rainfalls, droughts, extremely low temperatures, heavy winds are making the lives of thousands of Peruvian farmers even more difficult than it already was. Another factor that strengthens Peru's particular vulnerability to climate change is the diversity that can be found in the country. Peru is among the world's 16 megadiverse countries. 25 of the 28 existing ecosystems of the world can be found in Peru. The alterations of the climate will have different consequences in the mountains, the rainforest, and the coast. Due to the diversity of ecosystems, the consequences of climate change in Peru remain predominantly unpredictable, and this makes it even more complicated for Peruvians to adapt. Despite the tremendous climate variability and extremes, Peruvians have traditionally managed to preserve this diversity in situ, meaning in its natural environment. They are keeping the diversity of the planet safe. They have been able to adapt to the climatic variability, but this is becoming more and more difficult. Karin Quevedo of Senami explains, the rainfalls are delayed or the cycles are shorter than usual. In some occasions, the rainfalls are even more intense. The same for the temperatures. Generally speaking, they are increasing. The sudden changes in the temperature affect us all, but most of all the rural sector. The farmers know when to sow and cultivate their crops, because they know the climate's behavior. Nevertheless, due to the process of climate change, some of this knowledge and practices have lost their function. Currently, the accelerated changes in the climate are affecting the crop cycles and the productivity of the crops. Hildegardo Córdoba of the SIGA explains, we have to be aware that changes are coming. In the rural world, this means preparing to apply new cultivation strategies. Some crops may lose their productivity. For example, a change in temperature can trigger an increase in plagues, some of which have never been seen before. The droughts, rainfalls, frosts are already affecting the crops of the Peruvian farmers. The ecological floors are also altered due to the changes in the climate, and the farmers can no longer grow their crops at the same altitude as they used to. Many Peruvians are losing their main source of income, and their food security is put at risk. The experts say climate change cannot be stopped. We will no longer have the same climate as before. Therefore, one of the important measures that the rural population of Peru has to adopt is adaptation to climate change. According to Karin Quevedo, the farmers are changing their habits. They have to adapt to the changes that will continue to take place. In every region of Peru, the climate changes in a different way. In some places, the climate has changed completely. The rural population of Peru has to take advantage of the changes where possible and be prepared for the changes to come. Cordova explains, "The farmers are experts in observing the climate, and I think they will adapt themselves in the process. They will change their strategies." There are many practices that can be developed to adapt to climate change and try to take advantage of some of the changes instead of simply suffering the consequences. These include the building of terraces, reforestation, the protection of the moors, who are natural protectors of the water, protection, collection, and sustainable use and management of water resources, among others. Some farmers around the country are already putting some of these traditional and new technologies at work to adapt to the process of climate change and its drastic consequences. They are obtaining very positive results and preventing further losses.